Hi, this is Josh Kulp. This is the video for Masechet Avodah Zarah, Daf Nun Tet, page 59. Our daf this week consists of mostly four very interesting stories. And I just wanted to briefly touch on all four of them, some of the problems. As I said many times, the Gemara here is what I would call choppy. One story seems to teach this, one story teaches something a little bit different, and it makes for a very difficult going for many of the Rishonim, many of whom don't understand the stories themselves, or aren't sure, or dispute the stories, and sometimes they have trouble reconciling all sorts of different halachot that emerge from these stories. The first story, halachically speaking, is kind of simple. Rabbi Chia bar Abba comes to a place called Gavra, and the name there is interesting. Gavra, historians debate what city this might be, but I'm wondering if maybe the city Gavra is a pun on the word gvul, which means in Hebrew border, because we see that the people that he comes and sees there are acting in a very borderline manner. In other words, they're not rejecting Torah, they're not rejecting observance of mitzvot, they're not completely assimilating with non-Jews, but they're on the border of assimilation. So what does he see them doing? He sees women, Jewish women, who are marrying converts who had converted men who had circumcised, meaning they had attempted to become Jewish, but hadn't immersed, which means they're sort of on the border between being in and out. They also seem to be observing Torah law, or what's easily understood to be Torah law, that you have to circumcise in order to convert, and not observing rabbinic law, which says that you also have to immerse. That's not there in the Torah at all. The second thing he sees them doing is he sees non-Jews pouring wine for Jews. Again, he doesn't see the Jews eating pork or any other real unkosher food. All he sees is this, nor does he even see the Jews drinking wine made by non-Jews. This is just a small infraction. Again, it's on the border. And the third thing he sees is them eating food cooked by non-Jews, which again is on the border of permitted or not permitted. He sees them eating lupines, which are sort of like a poor person's food. The Gemara explains that it's actually okay to eat lupines, some type of bean cooked by non-Jews. So we see them engaging in this borderline activity, which I think is very interesting to see people living somewhat probably outside of the land of Israel who are observant of Judaism. They're, certainly not sort of modern assimilated people, but they're sort of on the border of keeping the laws, at least the way the rabbis expect them to. So that's the first story. The stories get a little weirder when we get back to the wine. So the next story, after a small halachic discussion, we get a story about an etrog that falls into a vat of wine, and a goy shoots his hand in, sticks his hand in there to get the etrog out, and Rav Ashi says that the Jews have to hold his hand in the barrel of wine, because if he moves his hand around in there, that's considered libation and it would make it prohibited. The story is very strange. Why, all of the Rishonim have to ask, why when he puts his hand in there does the wine remain at least somehow permitted, but when he pulls the hand out, the wine becomes prohibited? Why that difference? If the problem is physical contact, then he contacted as soon as he put his hand in there. If the problem is, if there's just an issue of intent and his intent wasn't to libate, then why, when he pulls it out, is the wine become more prohibited? It's a very puzzling piece there. Then there's this story, Rav Ashi again, of a goy who purposely libates a Jew's wine. In other words, he knows the Jew will not drink the wine after the goy libates it, so the goy goes up to his wine and libates it just to damage the Jew's property. What's strange in this case is that you'll notice when you get there that Rav Ashi uses a braita where one of the rabbis says it's such a goy who intentionally libates a Jew's wine makes the wine prohibited, and the other rabbi says it's totally permitted, whereas Rav Ashi says it's neither permitted nor forbidden, it's only permitted to reclaim the loss from the non-Jew. So how is it that Rav Ashi has sort of an in-between position where the Jew can't drink it, the Jew can't sell it to other people, but he can claim his damages from the non-Jew? Whereas in the Braita, we have positions that are polar opposites. In such a case, the wine is totally permitted or the wine is totally forbidden. That's strange too. And then there's a last story about a goy who puts his finger on a spigot to stop wine from coming out of a barrel. And Rav Papa talks about what part of the wine inside the barrel is prohibited. And again, Rishonim have trouble figuring out exactly what this spigot is and why touching a little bit should cause all of the wine in the barrel to become prohibited. The stories here, I don't remember ever having a Gemara with so many stories, with so many principles that are so unclear, so hard to coalesce into one systematic type of halacha, and you can see from the length of the Tosfot on these pages that that it's hard for the Tosfot as well. So let's just take each story isolated on its own, and we can witness this fascinating process whereby the rabbis are sort of struggling to figure out what this prohibition is and how it works in their lives.